Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1.
Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
Into a Hump Day edition of the JP Peterson Show. We got a great one for you today. Cannot wait to get to all the good stuff. We got Scott Reynolds coming up at 10:30 from the Pewter Report. We'll be hitting the Bucs pretty hard. Eric Erlendsson, Lightning Insider, will join us at 11:15 to talk about this woeful stretch of the Tampa Bay Lightning right now. Shut out in 2 straight games. They've lost 3 in a row. Last night, 5-0 loss to the St. Louis Blues. We got the Blues, no doubt about that. We're going to get into USF. We got to get into all kinds of FSU stuff as well. Going to be talking about the TGL. What is the TGL? It's the new golf league that's going to launch in January, which is kind of cool.
Was that new vaccination?
Yeah, Tiger Woods is involved. All the big names are involved. It's kind of cool. And I'll say good morning to you, Peter Blake. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, buddy. How you doing?
Good. You got your Lightning jersey on today?
Yeah, I got my Lightning shirt on. Hopefully we can change this mojo around a little bit. Went to the game against Chicago with the great Paul Stewart there at BuffaloNumber.com. Wasn't too good. Was not too good. And some of the same things that are plaguing this team right now, defensive breakdowns, giving the puck away, effort not necessarily there, not great starts.
Egregious turnovers.
Egregious. Yeah, what a word that is right there. Yeah.
It's we're going to get into that here in just a second. As we set up the show, we got a lot of good stuff to get to, but we're going to begin with the Bolts. We'll get to the Bucs here. FSU last night holding on to the number 4 ranking, but getting a lot of hate out there for FSU. A lot of disrespect out there for FSU. I don't understand it, but a lot of people think Washington should be, people putting Oregon ahead of FSU. I don't know about all that. Downplaying the win over Miami, although I think a lot of people don't think FSU played great football. I thought they did. Miami, no doubt, is better than people think. But we'll get into that as well. But we're going to start with and we do have lots of USF to get to. Peter, you were there covering the game, the Temple game. Alex Golesh saying something very similar to what I said last week. That got USF fans so angry at me. Are they angry at their coach now? Because basically said what I said.
They should be angry at themselves, because all we heard about is how they're going to show up, how they're going to show up, how they're going to show up, and yet they don't show up, and that's not a smack at USF fans, but it kind of is, because, look, you're 2 games away from being bowl eligible. I mean, the coach is turning down.
1 game.
Yeah. Well, no.
5 wins.
Yeah, but coming into this game against
right.
You got 2 wins to go until you're bowl eligible, and now he's definitely put out a challenge, and we'll definitely play that. And you're going to love these comments of when I ask him, basically, is your program ahead of schedule? And he just breaks it down and goes into it. So yeah.
All right, so we got all kinds of good stuff to get to in the first half hour here. So jump aboard. The comment section is open for you. If you want to do that on YouTube, do it on Facebook. You can do it on Twitter, wherever you want to hit it up. We did a poll yesterday on Baker Mayfield as well in the Bucs quarterback position, so we'll get to that with Scott Reynolds.
You gonna wind me up a little bit here, because we do.
Yeah, let's do. We can take calls. That's right. Wednesdays is caller day.
Yeah.
Right, I'll wind you up. Let's go.
727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's the JP Peterson Show.
Yeah, come on. You guys want to jump in? Wednesday's the day to do it. We got the phone lines open, so let's do it. All right, let's get into it with the Bolts. Last night, a 5-0 loss to the St. Louis Blues. Now, before you go a little crazy on looking at the numbers, I mean, 4-0, they've been outscored 9-0 in their last 2 games. The 2 home games were the first time they've lost back-to-back regulation games in over a year at home. Now 3 straight losses. This is very uncharted territory for the Lightning. But, again, if you look at last night's game, especially in the second period, they outshoot St. Louis 15-8. They have 22 scoring chances in the second period, including 12 high danger chances. And in 19 seconds, they get outscored 2-0 in the period by 2 because of 2 egregious turnovers that end up in the back of your net. In fact, even the first period, I thought the Lightning outplayed St. Louis dramatically. Honestly, they had probably 5 or 6 high danger chances in the first 7 to 8 minutes of the hockey game, and Bennington made big save after big save after big save. Now, I would also say, hey, Stamkos, you got to bury that one, man. I'd say Kucherov, you got to bury that one. I would say Braden Point, you got to bury that one. These are goals that these guys normally bury. So I'm not going to get worked up because this is just hockey. You go through a stretch like this, you start pressing, you squeeze in the stick a little hard, and that's where the Lightning are at right now. I'm not, as much as I know people are pushing the panic button, I'm not. You gotta watch the scores look ugly. The results are not great right now. Vasilevsky's not going to be back for a couple of weeks, so I get it. But if you look around the league, there's a lot of middling play going on. There's some, obviously Boston's playing very well. There's a couple of teams that are really, really ripping it. But I'm just not going to be concerned because I'm watching the way they're playing. And it's not, the defensive miscues are not great. I mean, you got to cut those out. There's just no question about it. You can't give up, there's a 3-on-0 basically where Johansson made a great save on Saad last night. I mean, there were 2-on-1s, and I'm not putting this on Johansson. I'm not putting it on the goalies. These turnovers, more times than not, with freaking Patrick Waugh in net, with Vasilevsky in net, we're going to end up in the back of your net. So it's defensively right now, and I'm not talking just the defensemen. Chernak didn't play last night, so that kind of messed up their pairings a little bit. Maybe led to a poor line change that led to a goal. So there's things are just not clicking for the Lightning right now. But I'm not here to say, oh, they're on the backside of their run. I don't see that yet. Hedman is still very much in his prime. Stamkos, maybe on the back 9, but I'd say he's more on, 13 than he is 17. He's been extremely productive the last couple of years. So I'm not going there. There's a lot of good young talent on this team. Braden Point is a 50-goal scorer. AC Mont's getting better. There's a lot of positives for this team moving forward. It just doesn't feel like it right now. It just doesn't feel. And I get that from fans. You want immediate gratification, but if you watch the game last night and even watch I think Carolina was a dud. Chicago last week, they played well in the first period, didn't push back. I'm not trying to post a rosy picture here, but I'm not hitting the panic button. I don't think we're to that point yet. I still think the talent is there, and structurally, when they get Vasilevsky back and they'll get on a run, then we'll see where they're at. But they definitely have to clean up a lot of these egregious turnovers, no question.
Yeah, and it comes back down to what you said. I mean, your veterans have to step up. If you're scoring, you've got to put the biscuit in the basket, and they haven't been able to do that. And sometimes that's just hockey. That's why it's a long season. But as we talked about before the season, you have to get out to a good start. And if you don't, you could definitely play yourself out of this division. But, again, I'm not panicking because they are veteran laden. They do have superstars, and they got a great coach in John Cooper who will definitely be able to rectify the ship.
Yeah, so we're good. In fact, let's listen to Coop after last night's game. And I take a lot of my cues from him. When he's pissed off like he was after the Blackhawks game, then I'm a little bit more worried. But you just kind of look at his demeanor after last night. Look at what he's saying and pick up that vibe.
John, what went wrong tonight?
We gave up too many goals and I guess didn't score any. That's going wrong.
John, those back-to-back goals, that made it 3-0. The coverage breakdowns there.
Well, there wasn't. You're sitting watching this game. There's 3.5 minutes left in the first period. It's 1-0, and you're probably feeling half decent about the game. And bad change, and then a turnover in our end, and they both end up in the back of the net. And all of a sudden, a minute later in the dressing room, you're down 3-0, and guys were probably a little bit discouraged at that. It's tough to give those up at the end of the period, but I think what's frustrating for the guys is they didn't feel like they gave up anything in the second period, and now all of a sudden we're down 3-0. So people are going to look and say, hey, we've been shut out the last couple games. The problem is it's not our offense is, we're giving up gifts, and we're having good stretches in the game, and just it's been the story this year. It's just giving up those easy ones, and the guys are getting discouraged, and then they're fighting it a bit, and so that hurts the kind of mojo of your team. So we just got to stop making those gaffes. It's I know the guys aren't meaning to do it, but they're happening.
Did you sense that kind of discouragement because those things are so egregious after you guys?
Yeah, because now the guys are pressing and they're not letting the game come to them, and trying to force things, and when that happens, the mental side takes over, and sometimes you can struggle. So we just have to fight through it. You go through situations like this in the season, and just got to get through it. That's part of the teams that have the mental makeup. They'll get through stuff like this.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of nailed it there, right? You just got to get through it. You got to fight through it. Thursday night they'll be at Chicago, where Connor Bedard now is taking the league by storm. He started that little run against the Lightning with the 4 points that he had in Tampa last Thursday. So maybe a little payback there, and we'll certainly get their attention. So again, I'm not concerned. We'll see where this goes, but at this point, they haven't played themselves out of anything. They're still very much in the hunt. So it's okay. It's okay, Lightning fans. Don't freak out just yet. We'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Do you want to hear from Victor Hedman here?
Let's do it. Let's hear from Victor Hedman. And Victor, I think, has played pretty well, but he has not played at his elite status. Even last year, he's not at his Stanley Cup level where he was dominating games. And I'm not going to say it's because of his age or what. I don't think he's lost a step. I just don't see that. But, maybe it's motivation. Maybe it's, these are still kind of the dog days. These guys have won 2 Stanley Cups. They've been to 3 finals, in the last 4 years. Regular season games are probably, especially when you're 3 years old, and probably hard to get up for, but he needs to start playing better and taking over games like he used to. Let's listen to Victor Hedman.
No, just don't give up those $10. We had a good start, and then we started giving up chances, and just snowball effect. And second period was an even period, and then we gave up 2 in less than a minute. So just breakdowns. It wasn't like we were dominated. I think it was an even match. We just gave away too much.
It's more coverage away from the puck. What goes into that? How do you fix it?
No, yes. I think a lot starts with our puck play and turning pucks over and giving up odd-man rushes. I don't think coverage is a big issue. Obviously their third one maybe, but at the end of the day it's just puck play and odd-man rushes against, and just giving up way too much.
You mentioned kind of the snowballing, put those back to back. How do you kind of prevent that, especially when you do have a good start and you're only down 1 goal?
Yeah, you just got to dig in. That's the bottom line. We talked about it a lot, is how you respond. But today wasn't good enough. But you can see it wears on guys too. 3 tough games in a row. It's
wow.
This is where it takes really test your mental strength, and we haven't gone through this a lot in our. Lately, and some guys probably hasn't gone through it, so it's just how you respond to this, and we just got to make sure that the guys that have been there a long time lead the way.
How do you do that? Is it tough?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. I think it starts tomorrow in practice. Just focusing in on those things that we need to improve on, but I think it's it would have been tougher if we were outplayed and outshot, 50-20 was 5-0, but it's a close game, not too many penalties. just those breakdowns. So I think, if we clean that up, we're going to have a good chance. And, being shut out 2 games in a row, that's not going to continue the rest of the season. We got the skill to score goals, but it's what we give up that we got to prevent.
You guys are obviously a team that hates losing. I know every team hates losing. So how frustrating is this kind of stretch for you guys? Because like you said, you guys haven't had, stretches like this,
Yeah, it is frustrating, but at the same time, you got to embrace these challenges too. Like they come in different ways, losses, injuries. You just got to embrace it and be, grateful that you have an opportunity to turn it around. And we play in the best league in the world, and you play against really good players and good teams. So, bottom line is that we know that we have a target on our back every single game we play. Guys want to play good against us, and right now it's tough for us, but one thing I know is that we can bounce back, and never in my mind do I have any doubt in that. So we just got to continue to work on this, and we're 16 games in, still in the mix, so we just got to keep working.
There's Victor Hedman last night after the 5-0 loss to St. Louis. Yeah, again, and we get a lot from these guys. We got to dig in. We got to get better. It's adversity time, but it is now, and let's see how they respond. They didn't respond against Chicago. They didn't respond very well against Carolina. This game, I thought they played better. I really do think they outplayed St. Louis last night. I know that's stupid to say when you lose 5-0.
Right.
One of them an empty netter, but you watch the games and they're getting plenty of scoring chances. They just have got to stop. They've allowed the most goals 5-on-5 in the league. that's
not going to get it done. Your power play is not going to save you. If you turn over the puck, that's not good. That's a mix of disaster. And then on top of it, I think the most glaring comment is how guys are getting frustrated. Like you said, they're getting frustrated or trying to put it together, and maybe some of these players aren't used to that. So you better get used to it, because adversity right now is with this team, and they've got to figure it out.
Also, the overtime losses, like James points out, this is they got to fix overtime. I mean, they got to fix it. You're just losing too many points and just giving them away, especially in games when the other team forces the overtime and you've had the lead. So now you're especially if it's a divisional game, you're giving away 2 points. So can't do that. There's a lot that needs to get cleaned up, but I don't think, you could look at other teams and say they just don't have the talent to compete for a cup. I don't see that with the Lightning. I think they have plenty of talent. They've got the best coach in the league. They've got plenty of talent. They're going to have the best goaltender in the league coming back. So definitely not time to panic. All right, I want to go to I want to zip over, since we're going to talk Bucs with Scott Reynolds coming up here at 10:30. I want to talk a little USF. They beat Temple 27-23. They get 3 picks, including a pick 6. Their offense wasn't as explosive as I thought it would be against a Temple team that's not great. 3-7 this year. Peter, you were at the game. I saw there was an announced crowd of 30,900 people. I watched part of the game, and the entire visitor side, which is all you can really see from the TV side, was empty. And I mean freaking empty. And the student section wasn't that full either. By the way, the 30,000 number, those are tickets distributed. That's not butts in the seats. The butts in the seats number we can get, but it's not something that they want to make really public. And it wasn't great. It wasn't great. And this is what I talked about last week in terms of providing an atmosphere for these players in a league of portal transfer and NIL. Having an atmosphere at your games is important. And USF is missing that tremendously, especially when you compare it with their rivals. I mean, hell, Jim Levitt was at the UCF game this week and, posting pictures and videos. And, it's a stark contrast to what's going on at USF. And I understand you haven't won a lot of football games, so it's not like the fan base is used to going to the games. But, I've said this a lot. You got recruits coming in for this final game at home against Charlotte, where you're going to have a chance to get bowl eligible. You got a Friday night game at UTSA, which is, might be interesting since our coach is being mentioned for the A&M job. hopefully he'll be distracted. Maybe you can sneak up on him on a Friday, but that's a 6-3 football team that's going to be tough to beat on at their place. So
right,
you're going to probably come home with a chance to against a 3-7, 3-8 Charlotte team to get to a bowl game and get those extra practices. So this is a big moment. This is a really, really big moment for USF in terms of their development. And if fans want to, be where UCF is and be where USF should be and get into a Power 5 conference and do all these things that USF fans talk about, then now is the time. We got to show up. You got to show up for this game.
Yeah, and he definitely puts the challenge out there to USF fans. Let's go out to that really quick. Have him, saying so many words. You guys got to show up on Thanksgiving weekend, and I get it. It's Thanksgiving weekend, but still, you got to support this team because they are definitely turning it around. And then in a little bit, we'll get to those comments of me asking him, does he feel like this program is ahead of schedule? But let's go out to his challenge for the fans here on the JP Peterson Show.
Thanksgiving weekend on a Saturday that we need to put people in these stands for no other reason other than these recruits to see people, our guys get the support, playing high-level fun football in Tampa. And we're going to continue to build on what we've got and the momentum we have. The recruiting is going as well as I could ever imagine. And we're going to continue to build a foundation here for something elite and something that we can all be proud of. So,
all right. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the recruits here. I mean, you're recruiting against Florida State and Florida, and Miami's struggling with this as well. Their home field advantage is not there. They're trying to recruit against the best schools in America, and they've got 15,000 people at a conference game in Hard Rock Stadium. They ain't going to get it done. But I go up to Florida State this weekend, Florida State, Miami, and there's 150 recruits on the sideline, and what an atmosphere! What an atmosphere! If FSU and USF are fighting for a kid, and they go and see that, and then they go to an empty Raymond James Stadium, you got no shot. I don't care how good your recruiting is. You got no shot. And I know it's tough to recruit against these, but this is where USF is at. This is where you're at. So, just imagine if you got actually 30,000 in those stands, which would fill that lower bowl. What an atmosphere that would be against a Charlotte team that you should beat, and you have a chance to go to a bowl game. This is a big moment for USF. And it's hard for Alex Golesh to sit there and rip the fans. He understands. You won 4 games in 3 years. I get that. It's hard to, it's hard to say, come out and watch us. But listen, if you're a USF fan, and I've talked to many online, and they say, JP, don't. There's us that we go to games. We drive from Tallahassee to go to games, and those fans are awesome, and we need more of you guys. But yeah, you got to bring 5 or 6 with you. By hook or by crook, handcuff them if you got to, but you got to bring a bunch with you, because this is a big game. And I think, this needs to be out there. Golesh needs to be out there. Everybody who's a USF fan needs to be out there. This needs to be a narrative that's being talked about on social media, in the press, everywhere. It's a big, big deal at this point.
It is, and what he's done in a short amount of time has been amazing. Losing guys in the transfer portal, not necessarily knowing, what your weapons are on the outside. You have Sean Atkins, who's been a big-time story. He's talked about him.
Congrats to him. Setting the record.
Yeah, Rodney Adams from 2016. Who would have thought that? A walk-on. So when you look at it, there should be more fans out there. And I get it. Again, the last couple of years, they haven't put necessarily a lot of wins together, but still this team right now is on the come up. Do you want to go back out to Coach Golesh with him talking about the process?
Yes, let's listen to that. That's good.
All right, here we go.
I think we are continuing to try to get better and fix our process. Continue to try and find ways to be the best version of us. We talked last night in depth about giving more of ourselves than taking, just being unselfish, tough dudes, which in this society with all this bull crap that's going on is like virtually impossible.
Right.
and you're trying to find 16, 17, 18-year-olds to come in here and give more of themselves than take from the whole. But society's telling us that we just keep taking. We deserve something more or better, and we got to continue to find guys that don't give a crap about any of that and want to play ball, want to be a part of something incredible, be a part of a team, and be a part of building something, which is really, really hard to do in today's day and age. And that's our challenge. And I think the most telling thing about what we are or who we are as a staff don't change, man. We talk every Sunday. We get in, win or lose, don't change. Keep pouring in these kids, keep loving them, keep demanding that they be the best version of themselves in every single thing that they do. And we have to be process driven, because if we're result driven, you talk about 5 wins, 1 win close, like then we're gonna ride a roller coaster. It's like life. Like can I just be the best version of me today? That's process. Can I wake up? Can I walk into that building with a positive attitude? Can I get taped, eat, do my hydration testing, and show up to my meeting and say, teach me, hold me accountable, teach me, and then get to a point where I feel confident enough in my process that I could actually hold a teammate accountable and then help a young guy. That's called a program. That's called a process-driven program. So the wins are the wins, the losses are the losses. It doesn't matter, because it's all a reflection of what our process is. And again, if we judge ourselves on wins and losses, then it's going to be a roller coaster. This season has been a roller coaster, because we're continuing to try to figure out, man, can I sustain this? Like, this is hard. It's hard. It's hard to be 22 years old, 23 years old, and have somebody demand so much of me every single day and keep coming and coming and coming. And if I worry about the end result, then it's going to jack up in my head what the heck is going on. It's hard at 39. I think 39. Yeah, I'm 39. It's hard to worry about all of this, and then, man, like, is the end result right? Like, all I can control is my everyday process, how I love on these players, how I demand excellence of them, and give them a platform to be able to go be the best version of them.
Well, he ran with that.
I mean, he did, and I
Love that.
love those kind of responses, because I really wanted, and they usually get, those one-word responses, and when you ask that type of question, he really was, trying to lean into it, and I get it. And if any USF fan right now has any doubts that this wasn't the right man for this job, listen to those comments. That tells you everything you need to know. Say whatever you want to about prime time, say whatever you want to about another coach. What he's done in the short amount of time has been amazing. And then his process in itself, his team has bought into that. I tell you what, do you want to go out to Sean Atkins' comments about the walk-on there?
No, let me just touch on this real quick, Peter, because that was a great question, and it was, if I may say that, even better answer. And he's so absolutely right. I mean, this garbage that these kids see on social media is about get your bag, get yours. It's all about you. It's all about getting what you can get. It's not about team. It's not about process. It's not about everything is win or loss driven. That's the only way. How much money are you making? That's all. How much money are you making? Not about your process, not about, and he's talking about every day, be the best person you can be. I love his message, and he's absolutely right. It is hard to find guys like this and find people that buy in, that it's not just about yourself. So my point is, he needs help, man. He can't do it by himself. He needs the collective, not just the players, not just the administration, but the fans have got to come along. And they have put up enough results this year to warrant the fans coming along. And I don't want to hear this, it's Thanksgiving weekend. That's all the more reason you should go. You got time off from work. You got the whole week off. Get your stuff done. You had nothing else to do on a Saturday, a beautiful Saturday in November. Then you get your ass out in cheap tickets. Let's go. I mean, it's time for, USF fans can get mad at me all they want about calling them out to get to the games, but it's time to get to the games. Your own coach is doing it. You're going to get mad at him too. And if you don't show up, he's going to get discouraged, right? And he'll be sought after as well. So you're gonna lose players, you're gonna lose coaches if you don't create an atmosphere to play in. And I would say, don't wait till you get an on-campus stadium. Don't wait. You got a good coach, you got some momentum going. It's fleeting. It is really, really fleeting. You lose these last 2 games, and guess what? It's gone. It's gone. This year will be, you win these last 2 games or just win one and get to a bowl game. It's a huge success, and you carry momentum on into recruiting and everything else. You lose them both, it's a tremendous letdown. A tremendous letdown. You didn't make the bowl game. You had an opportunity, a golden opportunity. You didn't show up as fans. You didn't show up as players. Look at where the narrative goes. It's 2 distinctly different narratives over the entire offseason. So, if you're a USF fan, it's time to start calling all your buddies, get them together, and get your butt out there to the stadium a week from Saturday.
And I don't think you're saying anything wrong. And I think USF fans will just continue to criticize you about the 90% thing with Dion.
Whatever.
Listen to that interview with Bubba the Love Sponge here locally.
Yeah.
Dion said he was close to being the coach of USF. So enough of your nonsense that you're putting out there, USF fans. If you don't like the guy, it's fine.
Look at when people divert from the real issue. Okay.
Yep.
If that's where USF fans typically are. They don't want to take responsibility. They don't want to say, okay, JP, you're right. We need to get out there and go, 90%, 90%, by the way, is not 100%. We still need the math class at USF, I think. But anyway, it just take it and take the constructive criticism and from your coach as well, and support the team. It's time. It's a critical time.
Yeah, it is definitely. All
right, we'll do some more USF a little bit later on because I know you got some other good sound that we want to get to, but that was really, really good stuff. Quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk some Bucs with Scott Reynolds of the Pewter Report. Huge win, obviously, last Sunday, but now they have to build on that. And a win over San Francisco would be, wow, that could ridiculously change the season around. So let's talk about that. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com for any legal work that you need, whether it be accidents, if you've had your car totaled and doesn't get a great settlement, that's something is right in their wheelhouse. Contact the Jeeves Law Group. It's a free consultation, JEEVES lawgroup.com, from the man that lives here, has offices in Tampa and St. Petersburg, not some national big firm that's not going to call you back and give you the personal attention that you deserve. The Jeeves Law Group is where you need to be with Scott Jeeves, our good friend, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Back in 3. Stay with us. Are you tired of those stuffy, overpriced sports bars? Well, come join the fun at the Patio in South Tampa and watch your favorite football teams under the stars in a tropical paradise. Yeah, it's a unique setting with huge wood decks beneath the trees, and don't worry, they have an inside AC bar with all your favorite bar games as well. The Patio has all the NFL and UFC sports packages, and it's home to the Tampa Gator Club and Bills Mafia, but all fans are welcome at any time. Hey, my FSU buddies love to watch the Noles at the Patio. It's also home to a great happy hour. Weekdays, get $4 White Claw vodka drinks and $4 White Claw seltzers, $1 off all beer and wine from 3 to 7:30. And every Friday happy hour, join us for Football Friday. It's our live broadcast from 5 to 7 with tons of specials and the fan mic for you to join the show. We'll have swag and ticket giveaways as well. So come out for the live broadcast 5 to 7 every Friday at the Patio and come watch football in a tropical paradise all season long. It's 421 South McDill, just a few blocks south of Kennedy. Everyone meets at the Patio.
Hey guys, are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well, so do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability, not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give them a call at 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to GeddesGordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by The Patio, the best place to watch games underneath the palm trees and the stars. They have a great outdoor experience there for you. Tremendous staff, always something good going on. Their happy hour is tremendous, $1 off beer and wine off their already low prices. So stay out of those snobby sports bars and go watch it where the people hang out. The Tampa Gator Club, the Bills Mafia, great place. It's The Patio, and we'll be back out there, I believe, this weekend. We're still solidifying that, so we'll let you know what's up at The Patio. 421 South McDill, a great place to hang out. Scott Reynolds is going to jump on here in just a second. Wanted to do a couple of other housekeeping items here. Florida State stays in at number 4 last night with the college football playoff rankings being put out last night. Joey Galloway, trying to rip Florida State for their schedule, and I'm like, have you seen the Big Ten? I mean, you got 2 teams. That's it. And I wouldn't even put Penn State in there. They've been woeful offensively. So you look at, there's 2 teams. There's Ohio State and Michigan. Everybody else is kind of a cupcake most weeks. So sorry, you go to Clemson and win. You beat Miami. You beat LSU, who's a really good football team with probably the Heisman Trophy winner. You're the only one who shut him down for a half. I think Florida State's going to be okay. And Boo Corrigan, by the way, who's the head of the committee, was saying don't sleep on that win against Miami. They were up 2 scores. They got a fluky touchdown. He pointed that out. Florida State was the better team, no question. Miami, by the way, is a damn good team. They're a good football team. They make some stupid mistakes this year, but they're a pretty damn good football team. And right now they're struggling without a great quarterback. I get that part of it, but they've got some talent on that team. So Florida State wins out. They're going to be in the playoff, but they still got some business to take care of. They got Florida at Florida, and they've got the ACC championship game, which will be against the top 10 Louisville team. So there's still time to increase the resume. But if they stay undefeated, they're in. If they don't, they're out. Simple as that. It's the way it should be. All right, let's talk some Buccaneers with our good friend Scott Reynolds from the Pewter Report. What's up, Scotty? How are you, my friend?
Doing great. How are you guys?
Good. So we finally get to talk about a win for this Buccaneers team. And, not only was it a win, but it's the way they won the football game, Scott, playing to their strengths, especially on defense. And I think that's probably a great place to start. Why do you think finally Todd Bowles went back to those strengths on defense and playing man coverage, sending Devin White every chance you get and putting some real pressure on Will Levis?
Why do I think they made those changes, or why do I know they made those changes?
Both.
This was a whole organizational come to Jesus meeting. And I'll just kind of leave it at that. Like, this was organization wide. Players, front office, coaches, all coming together and saying, hey, we got to change some things. We have to use some different personnel, right? We've given Joe Tron-Shawinka enough time. Now it's Yaya Diaby and Marquise Watts time. And it's not that JTS isn't going to continue to see snaps. He will. He'll be in the rotation. But we saw his playing time get decreased, not just from Yaya Diaby, but also from Marquise Watts with those 11 snaps. And they had to find a way to get this guy in the field. He had just been too disruptive in practice. And listen, and in Todd Bowles fashion, it's always too late, right? It's always
6 weeks too late.
Yeah, but at least it happened. And the Buccaneers, believe it or not, they'll be 4-6 after losing to the 49ers on Sunday. They're still okay. They're still in control of their destiny, and with plenty of winnable games, right? This is Todd Bowles' fate right here. These, not the 49ers game. They're going to lose. It's probably going to be ugly. San Fran's back after dismantling the Jaguars in Jacksonville, 34-3. So they're going to lose, but the Colts game, 2 games against the Panthers, trip to Atlanta, Saints at home, Jaguars at home. They got to find 5 wins there. And if they don't, then it's damning, and then you make some changes in the offseason. But they should be 5. They should get 5 wins down the stretch and be 9-8. And that probably this year is good enough to get you in as that last wild card, like the Seattle Seahawks last year, or maybe win the division, because nobody wants to win this division. It's the hot potato division.
Scott, what do you make of that report last week saying, players sat down and gave, Todd Bowles all these suggestions? You just talked about organizational, and is that a red flag for you? Why wasn't this done sooner? Because you said it best, Todd Bowles does it late. Why does it take so long to kind of
it wasn't so much the players like saying this per se. It was what was different was they watched the defense. They watched the film together as a unit, right? With all of the assistants in the room and Todd and all of the defensive players. They didn't watch the film broken up into different units like they usually do, right? They watched it together. And Todd Bowles pointed out every single player screwing up every single time, right? And then that opened the door for some exchanges, right? And but there were a couple players here they're drafted to play man press, right? They were drafted to play man press.
Yes.
Okay, drafted.
Yeah.
And Todd Bowles was reminded of that this week, and that played a role, right? I mean, when the players know what they can do best, and they're not doing it, there is some frustration there, and I think that kind of spilled over into the Houston game. And now, listen, Zion McCollum did not have a great game. It was mostly Jamel Dean had a great game against DeAndre Hopkins. Zion did not have a great game. We'll see if Carlton Davis returns this week. We'll find out later today if he's practicing. But they're going to take their lumps in San Francisco. They just don't have the horses to match up with this team. I mean, this 49ers team, it's still probably it's going to be them and the Eagles. I mean, you're looking at this defensive line. They have 3 first-rounders and Bosa and Chase Young, who they acquired in the trade, and Eric Armstead, right? And then you've got Javon Hargrave, who is a huge free agent addition from Pittsburgh. So
it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Jeffrey Simmons swatted away Aaron Stinney and Cody Malk like they were gnats last week. So I can only imagine what's going to happen to the interior of this game. If I'm Dave Canales, I'm not even running up the middle. I'm just not even trying it.
But he will. They did 18 times last week.
They're wasted downs against this team. You're not going to get anything. You're looking at 2nd and 9. You're looking at 2nd and 10. It's a wasted down. I would just pass, and I would do toss.
Yes.
Try to get to the outside.
Yeah. It was so frustrating watching this tape. And, when you win, it hides all the warts. But I try to go through the process and look at how they're winning, what they're doing. And then we both do that. And you see against Houston, you see against Atlanta, this team should have 2 more wins, easily, easily. And And that's a big deal. That's a
It is.
really, really big deal in the NFL. You can't just throw wins away when they're right there for the taking.
It's not the NBA or baseball
No.
or hockey where you have 82 or 10,000 games in a season, whatever. You know, that's what makes football the best sport, whether it's college or pro. You get one shot a week, you know, and you got to make it count because there's less than 20 games in both college and pro, and in every game matters. It just does.
Yeah, and those runs up the middle, I'm just sitting there watching, like, what's the plan behind it? Yeah. You're not moving anybody. You're not trying different blocking schemes. You're just doing the same things and getting the same results time and time again, sometimes twice in a row. Right. And I'm just like, what are you doing? And
is this the down Aaron Stinney can beat Jeffrey Simmons? Oops.
Yeah.
Nope.
Right.
Is this the down where Robert Hainsey can help Aaron Stinney win the rep? Nope. You know,
So what are we doing? I mean, it almost feels like Bowles is on the mic going, okay, run it up the middle, run it up the middle. Like what? I think
some of those in the second half, I understand because they had a comfortable lead, and you know, Will Levis was not going to lead a comeback, right? I mean, it was not his day from start to finish. And so some of those runs were just, let's just choose some clock. And you know, and
but you can run it to the outside. You can screen pass to the outside. Those are safe plays. They're not,
agree.
You know.
Yeah, I agree.
Very, very, very frustrating. You mentioned the personnel decisions, and let's talk a little bit about especially Yaya and Marquise Watts. These are guys that flashed in preseason, at least Watts does, and it takes 8 games to get him onto the field. And I don't know how many reps he got, 12 or 13, and basically caused one interception, almost caused another.
Right.
I mean, these are this is stuff that it seems pretty obvious that they need to be on the field and used in a certain way.
Yes, and you know, there's a reason why George Edwards was fired, right, in Dallas.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, he came here with a lot of hope, like, oh gosh, this is the guy that kind of made Micah Parsons in Dallas. No, not really. Micah Parsons being Micah Parsons, you know. And we just haven't seen any improvement really from Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. And you know, I think that you know, George Edwards has some say in who plays, and he got overruled this week, and they put Marquise Watts in, right? And it paid dividends, and that's good. So sometimes the coaches don't know best, and sometimes, you know, you got to make some executive decisions, and I think that happened, and it was a good thing, and it was kind of like a "see, I told you so" moment. And you know, if Todd Bowles stays here for another year, I don't think George Edwards is going to be on the staff next year. Just come out and say it. So
you
know.
Speaking of the linebacking core, Scott, in your opinion, was this Devin White's best game?
No, the Vikings game was his best game for sure. You know, Devin dropped an interception in coverage. Should have had one against Josh Wiley and inside the 10-yard line. He got a sack that was pretty much a gimme sack. The right tackle decided not to block him, even when he was mugging the gap. But he was used the right way.
Exactly.
He is like an airplane. You know, airplanes really can't go in reverse, right? They got to kind of be towed out. They go forward. That's what planes do. You don't see planes, land in reverse. They fly and they take off and they pull into the gate, and then they got to be pulled out of the gate. And then once they're in position where they can go straight, then they turn the jets on and go. But that's what he is. Analogy. He is a forward player, not a reverse player. He's not good in coverage. He's sometimes a liability. But what he does very well is attack the line of scrimmage. And I think he loses a lot of aggressiveness when he's dropped in coverage.
Yeah.
Because when you're dropping in coverage, what are you doing? You're reacting, right? You're seeing, right? And then when you see the play develop, right, and it's coming at you, and all of a sudden there's this space for a guard, for a center, for a fullback to come and attack you, or in Devin's case, envelop you. Then it makes it hard for him, to really he's not a stack and shed guy. He's not a guy that's going to attack and then shed. He's not Hardy Nickerson. He's not that type of player. But if you put him at the line of scrimmage where he can get a runny go at a gap, and it's point blank range, I think he's more effective, whether it's a run blitz, whether it's a pass blitz. The problem is he you make your defense a little one-dimensional because that's what you're assigning him to do.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not going to do it every down. And he dropped in coverage, plenty on Sunday. But I think, Peter, to your point, it's just Todd Bowles saying, like this is what this guy does best. And so we're going to try to do more of that. And that's always the right answer for coaches. That's when you can say, this is what this guy does best, and we're going to do more of it. That's always the right answer.
Scott Reynolds joining us here from the Pewter Report. So yesterday I had Anthony Becht on, and he kind of set me straight on this, but I'd like to get your take on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying the Bucs should tank. I'm not saying they should. I'm just, it's going to play out the way it plays out this year anyway, right? But so if you're saying, did the Jets really offer us a first-round pick for Mike Evans? Did they really offer us a first-round pick for Mike Evans at the deadline?
I don't think it was a first-rounder, and I think they had some trade conversations in August, not during the season.
Yeah, so you don't think that report was true? Because I'm sitting here saying,
no,
okay, and would they have taken it? I don't know, and I don't want to see Mike Evans go anywhere. But then I'm saying, you know what? So we win 9 games this year. So the Bucs win 9 games and get their ass kicked into playoffs. It's basically a repeat of last year. And does Todd Bowles return? And we go through this middling thing. Does Baker Mayfield return? Or would I like to see, this team take a different track? And if they did get offered a first-round pick, have 2 top 15 picks moving forward. I know it's a what if, but I'm like, this is where I'm at with this team. Is like, is this a good thing that we're going to be 9-8 and win the NFC South and get a home playoff? I don't know.
Here's an interesting scenario to look at, right? The Blazers have always given their head coaches 2 years, right? Always.
At least.
Lovie Smith got it. Raheem Morris got 3 because there was a 10-6 season. Dirk Cutter got 3 because it was a 9-7 season. Greg Schiano got 2. Raheem, what I'm saying? So at least 2. So this is Todd's second year. And the Blazers want to see progress. Well, what does progress look like? Well, progress is subjective, right? Is 9-8 progress? Yeah, as long as you make the playoffs, right? But then if you lose your playoff game, which you did last year, is that progress? Technically not, right?
Nope.
So the Blazers reserve the right to determine what progress is. I think the only way Todd Bowles is truly safe this year is if they win 9 games or more, if they win the division, and they win a playoff game at home. I think that's the only way the Blazers can truly say, yep, that's progress, right? And maybe that happens. I don't know. But all I'm saying is the Blazers, they got rid of Tony Dungy after 3 straight playoff appearances when they felt that the team was not living up to its potential. They shit-canned John Gruden, right, after making the playoffs and winning the division in 2007. And then 2008, that offseason, remember, they gave him a lucrative contract extension. And then less than a year later, they decided to pay him not to work.
Yeah, a lot of money.
Yeah, and they still finished with the winning record 9-7. They lost their last 4 games after a hot start.
Right.
So what I'm saying is the precedent's there for the Blazers. Even if Todd Bowles wins the division, like you said, if it's a repeat of last year, you win the division and they lose the home playoff game, that might be enough to say the NFC South is still a crap division. We can still win it. We just need, a tweak. We just need a new voice, a new head coach, right? A new system. But the roster is still better than any other team in the South. So let's not blow it up.
Right.
Here's the problem with and I didn't hear what Anthony said, so I don't put words in his mouth, but trading away, guys for draft.
No, he was all for let's go, let's see how the season plays out. And stop the expectations of, being a Super Bowl team every year. Let's just build something.
There's no excuse to blow it up because we've seen how long that can take. Right. Josh Freeman to Jameis Winston and Mike Lennon in between, along with Josh McCown. That was a decade of barren, that was the desert in Tampa Bay. It was the abyss. Yeah. The Blazers want no part of that again.
Right.
They want no part of it. But they did see, 7-9 in Bruce's first year. Let's switch out the quarterbacks and see what happens. Oh, Super Bowl, right? Jameis for Brady. They're a long way from that, but you don't blow this team up and start, breaking it up and trying to rebuild. It's so much easier to reload than it is to rebuild. And And this is a year too. Even if you finish 9-8 and you make the playoffs, you still can get a first-round quarterback this year.
That's true. That's
in the
true.
20s because there's going to be so many of them.
No, that's a great point.
With that being said, with the Glazers, not necessarily wanting to rebuild, the rumor has been floated out there. Bill Belichick. Do you think the Glazers and Jason Light would be interested in him if he does get released by the Patriots as a coach, not necessarily a general manager, because you already have Jason Light?
Bill doesn't work that way. Bill comes here. He's buying the groceries, and he's the chef. I mean, Jason might stay on as a personnel. I mean, he might stay on the general manager role, but that's like when Bill Muir was the offensive coordinator under John Gruden. It's like,
exactly.
Dude, you're the offensive line coach, and you get the title, but John's calling the plays. So, I don't think that. I think Bill would go to Vegas. I think that's where. I mean.
Wow.
Mark Davis out there with Tom Brady.
Please.
That's where he would want to go, in my opinion. And Brady would do everything he could to make that happen. And Mark Davis would open up the checkbook. The only thing is at some point in time, every head coach, except for Andy Reid, he's the exception. At some point in time, the game passes you by. We're seeing that in Frank Reich in Carolina. He was once a very good head coach. I still think Doug Peterson is there. We're seeing what he's doing in Jacksonville, although last Sunday was not good. But at some point in time, it happened to Dick Vermeil, who stayed late in the game. But at some point in time, the game passes you by. Yeah. And I think we're seeing, too, as great as Bill Belichick is, and I'm doing nothing to tarnish his legacy, a lot of it was Tom Brady.
Yes, it was.
A lot of it was Tom Brady.
Well,
and if you don't have Tom Brady – well, yeah, and the other thing, too, is look at Sam Weish. Sam Weish came to Tampa Bay, and everyone was super excited. Oh, my gosh, he just took, the Bengals, they came this close to beating the 49ers and Joe Montana, and then you got John Taylor, Montana to Taylor to win the Super Bowl. But, he didn't have Ickey Woods here. He didn't have Boomer Esiason here, right? It didn't have the Bengals here, the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
And so I don't know that Bill Belichick comes here and with what quarterback, who's his quarterback?
He's not great at developing quarterbacks.
He's 71 years old too. How much, if he comes here, what are you looking at? 2 years, 3 years? Yeah. This is not a Super Bowl team where he's going to come down here and say, give me 2-3 years. That's why Bill Parcells opted not to come, because he looked at the books and he had Mike Tannenbaum come down and to replace Tony Dungy. He had Tannenbaum come down, look at the books. This is before everything was online. And Tannenbaum reported back to Parcells and said, yeah, Bill, you have like 1 or 2 years tops. And then they got to blow this thing up from a salary cap standpoint because they have all these star players on big time contracts: Lynch, Allstott, Brooks, Barber, Sapp, Simeon, all these guys. But you got to do it now, right? And look how proven that was true, because in 2002, lightning in a bottle, John Gruden comes, they win that year. It was supposed to be the Bill Parcells year. 2003, they underperformed, and it wasn't until 2005 that they kind of reloaded and won the division again. But it was a quick slide for the Buccaneers after 2002. And so if I'm looking at Bill Parcells, who's 71, I mean, even Parcells, right? I mean, he was a guy that again, the game, you get too old, it passes you by. Yeah. And if I'm Bill Belichick, it's almost the same type of situation where it's like, boy, if I come here, do I want to coach till I'm 74, 75? No, I just want to coach to beat Don Shula's record, then I'm out.
Exactly. That's what he's here for.
Yeah, that's what he's here
That's
for.
what he's doing. That's what he's doing. And I don't think he's going to get there. And he might get an opportunity in Vegas, but it's going to, what is he, like 25 short now?
Maybe with the Giants. Yeah. I mean, he was a defensive coordinator with the Giants. Dayball's having, all kinds of problems.
Who's the quarterback? See, that's the thing. If you want to win, you got to have a quarterback, man. You do. I mean, and Baker Mayfield, like, he's the best quarterback in the South, and that's probably why at the end of this season, the Bucs will win the division.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants it. This is the hot potato division, right? Tampa Bay had it. They gave it to Atlanta. Atlanta said, hell, I don't want it. I'm going to lose 3 straight. Here, New Orleans, you take it. And then New Orleans, they're going to lose it. I mean, Tampa Bay is going to sweep them. So I'm just saying, man.
Well, Jameis is back. I don't know, man. The fan base is very excited about Jameis. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
2
Good
touchdowns,
luck with that.
2 interceptions. There you go.
Yeah, Jameis Winston, the quarterback that you want but don't need, and he's going to keep both teams in the game until the end.
It'll be fun to watch from afar.
Fun to watch. Always entertaining. The roller
All right,
coaster that is Jameis Winston.
Scotty, tell everybody how they can get the great content at Pewter Report. What you guys got going on?
We got a podcast today. It's Wednesday, so we have our Pewter Report podcast live at 4 o'clock on Pewter Report TV. That's our YouTube channel. Make sure you check it out. Subscribe. They say subscribe. It's free. Just hit the button. Yeah. But what you do is you'll be notified if you hit the notifications of when we go live, which is 4 o'clock on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Today we have our Bucs 49ers preview. And then we also have great pregame and postgame content on Pewter Report TV. Plus the mothership, pewterreport.com. We have the game previews are starting to get cranking here for Bucs 49ers. Yeah, it's going to be a loss, but we'll tell you maybe why it might be entertaining. But check that out. And you can also follow us on social media on X, Facebook, and Instagram at Pewter Report.
Is President Xi going to the game this week? I mean, they're rolling out the red carpet for him. I don't know. We'll see. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, you haven't mentioned my purple K-State shirt for.
Oh, there you go. Yes,
for the Sunflower Showdown against KU this week. So.
The Sunflower Show. KU's got a good football team. What do you think?
I was scared earlier. I was mentally prepping myself that this might be the year that KU beats K-State.
How long has it been?
Oklahoma. I can't remember. It's been that long
since Kansas won this game. Wow.
Yes, it's been a long time. We own them. They're
your bitches.
KU.
Go ahead, say it.
Yeah, they're our bitches. Yeah, but this year they're banged up right now. They had a humbling loss against Texas Tech. We had a steamroller win over Baylor. We're playing really good football right now. This will still be a good game. It's a rivalry game. It's in Lawrence. So if it was at K-State, I would not feel worried.
This week?
It's this week. It's Saturday. Yeah.
Oh, no,
Saturday
time?
Night. It's like 7 o'clock.
Night game.
Yeah, night game. Yeah.
You going?
I wish. I have to cover the Buccaneers on Sunday. So.
Yeah. You won't be. You won't be in Santa Clara though.
I won't be in Santa Clara. You might notice the amount of sarcasm and level of enthusiasm I have for the Buccaneers' chances this week.
You want to go to San Francisco? Wow.
Nope.
There was a day we didn't miss that trip, right? You got a chance to go to San Francisco. You wanted
when
to go
San Fran was not crime riddled, and back when it was nice.
It was amazing city. It was so nice. It was incredible. What happened? All right, man.
It's a conversation for another day, my friend.
In another channel for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Scotty. Appreciate it, buddy. Thank you. The great Scott Reynolds right there. Yeah, isn't it? I felt so good just seeing us roll out the red carpet for the Chinese emperor, the dictator. Like, yeah, he brought us so many wonderful things and stole our technology and brought us COVID and everything. Like, let's roll out the red. Let's love this. Let's love on this guy. Come on. What a dude.
More foreign aid for all those countries.
Who's brought more joy to America than President Xi? Wow. Let's welcome him with open arms.
Yeah.
Wow.
Love it.
You do that? Like, your biggest enemy comes to your shores. You welcome them like that? You got to sit down and have a great conversation. So excited about where this country is headed. It's such a wonderful thing.
Awesome.
Great stuff.
At 71, he could run for president for 2 terms and still be a spring chicken. Just kidding. It's pretty much true.
Oh, my
Bill Belichick as the president. How would you feel about that? Huh?
Oh, it's on to trade talks with China. Well, I don't know. I have to go down there. We'll see. On to Cincinnati. God, if he comes here, the Glazers would not hire him. They're not that. They're not that stupid. They're not that desperate. No way. And they would not hire Jim Harbaugh either. That ain't happening either. So
I mean, I don't rule it out because again, they go for the big name. He is familiar with Jason Light.
That ain't happening. There's no way. That would be the biggest mistake. Well, I've made some coaching mistakes before.
Well, remember now, let's be fair. The Glazers did go after Ralph Friedgen at the time. Remember that whole deal?
Well, they've made some bad coaching decisions. There's no question about it. I feel like even Jason Light, with his connection to Bill Belichick, would say, the game has passed him by. It's pretty clear. I mean, come on, you can't run a team without an offensive coordinator.
No. And you can't hire a defensive coordinator who doesn't have any offensive coordinator experience.
It's ridiculous. If any other coach in the NFL did that, they would be fired immediately.
Yes.
But Belichick has obviously the gravitas, the resume, But it's what's clear as day is that minus Tom Brady, he's a pretty ordinary coach. He's a pretty damn ordinary coach.
Yeah.
So
Alexander even thinks so. He's in the shop there. Good job.
What's up, Alex? Look, he's a good boy. He's a good boy. Where's Tally?
He's not
Tally's hanging out over here.
No, he's not barking now. I'm scared of him barking. He likes to go out to the window there and take a look and bark at everything that he can't get. So
yeah,
being good right now.
That's what dogs do. All right, we'll take a break. Eric Erlendsson is going to join us at 11:15. So we'll get into a little bit more FSU USF talk. Maybe even touch on the Florida Gators, where they're headed. I want to talk a little bit about this TGL Golf League too. If you haven't heard about this is going to start up in January. I was reading up on that, so I'll give you a little inside scoop on what's happening there. Hey, and you might even be able to go over to Palm Beach and watch some of these events. So we'll do that when we come back. We're brought to you by the great folks at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. If you need to lose weight, get your testosterone right, get your nutrition right, that's the place to go. Get your new primary care. Chris Lugo does a great job for me. He'll do a great job for you. I've referred many, many patients to him. He spends tons of time with you, and you'll get that personal attention that you deserve, not the 15 minutes you're scheduled with your doctor and get you in, get you out. Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Back in 3. Stay with us.
Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com.
JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA 2-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group, because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com, or call 813-485-6808. Are you tired of those stuffy, overpriced sports bars? Well, come join the fun at the Patio in South Tampa and watch your favorite football teams under the stars in a tropical paradise. Yeah, it's a unique setting with huge wood decks beneath the trees, and don't worry, they have an inside AC bar with all your favorite bar games as well. The Patio has all the NFL and UFC sports packages, and it's home to the Tampa Gator Club and Bills Mafia, but all fans are welcome at any time. Hey, my FSU buddies love to watch the Noles at the Patio. It's also home to a great happy hour. Weekdays, get $4 White Claw vodka drinks and $4 White Claw seltzers, $1 off all beer and wine from 3 to 7:30. And every Friday happy hour, join us for Football Friday. It's our live broadcast from 5 to 7 with tons of specials and the fan mic for you to join the show. We'll have swag and ticket giveaways as well. So come out for the live broadcast 5 to 7 every Friday at the Patio, and come watch football in a tropical paradise all season long. It's 421 South McDill, just a few blocks south of Kennedy. Everyone meets at the Patio.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
Welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here for our second hour. Eric Erlendsson's going to join us around 11:15. We'll talk some Bolts. Peter Blake is here with me, and he was hanging out with the USF folks this past weekend at the Temple game, and we're getting ready to get down to the nitty-gritty here. College football season's almost over, man. But, hey, unlike years past, if you're an FSU fan, you're very interested in the postseason. So this would normally be the last few years as the season's coming to a close, but they've got a great opportunity now to go and they beat North Alabama this week. Then you go to Gainesville and play a Florida team that knows how to score, can't tackle anybody, knows how to score. So I'm not too worried about that game. And then you play a pretty good Louisville team who's got one hell of a running back, maybe the best running back in the game. And anything can happen in those particular games. So, and then maybe even the college football playoff. Wow, that would be
it's
pretty incredible.
It's an amazing turnaround for Mike Norvell and what he's done.
It really is.
Program.
I don't think it's getting enough press myself. I know I'm a little bit.
I also
biased.
think it goes back to Jameis Winston winning the national championship. There's still people out there that just hate that team, hate this program, and doesn't matter how many games they win in a row, they're going to continue to hate. So just continue to hate, win your games, do what you need to do, and take care of the rest at the end of it.
That's fine. They can hate on FSU, and I know it seems like a lot of the experts are. Many people just don't even have them in their top four, but the College Football Playoff Board does. The committee does. They like them. Boo Corrigan certainly supporting. I don't know if people know this, but Boo, and this is how I know him from my days working for the Florida State Radio Network back in the late 80s, early 90s. And Boo was an associate athletic director at FSU. Hope that doesn't get out because people will really be like, oh, no wonder he's favoring FSU. And he is the NC State athletic director. So he'll already get, some crap for being an ACC guy. But, you look at the non-conference wins that the ACC has, North Carolina over South Carolina, FSU over LSU. Clemson will play South Carolina. And South Carolina certainly as they led Georgia at halftime, did they not? So I think a lot of people are kind of overlooking maybe how good some of these ACC teams are because they're beating up each other. I think Miami, when their quarterback's not throwing it to everybody else, is not a bad football team. On the defensive and offensive lines, they're pretty talented. North Carolina can certainly play with anybody and score with anybody. They've got maybe the best quarterback in the game in Drake May. Duke is, Mike Elko has put together a heck of a football team there. And when Riley Leonard was slinging it around and was healthy, they were a very, very tough team. And Clemson has one of the best defenses in football. So, I think FSU's done well to win the games. Their average victory margin is over 21 points. And I put this up there today on Twitter. There was a little blind resume somebody put up. And if you go back and look at their numbers as compared to, I'm going to find this, at the 2019 LSU Tigers, their numbers are almost exactly the same in terms of their offense, their defense, and how many games they're winning by. Wow. So, yeah, I mean, the numbers have been there for Florida State. So I know that they're not getting the love from a lot of the experts, but I think, they've put together a solid season. And if they win out, they deserve to be in the college football playoff. I think Washington, and by the way, I think Washington might get another loss. Ohio State and Michigan have to play, obviously. There's a lot of football left. And I don't think it's a guarantee that FSU wins against Louisville in the ACC championship game. So there's a lot more football to go. It usually works itself out.
Yeah, and then people out there, the pundits that are being critical of FSU's schedule, be critical of Michigan's, because who would they play besides Penn State? I mean, who have they played to warrant, all this love besides the fact of, Jim Harbaugh and situation there? I don't know if you saw the assistant coach at the end of the game. I got sent down. I was like, did he die? I mean, that's what it seemed like to me. Jim Harbaugh passed away with that speech.
That was way over the top. Sharon Williams, way over the top.
Winning the Oscar this year in 2023, that guy right there. I didn't understand it. Like, I get it. And I take heat for this because, again, this all too well. Mom's a Michigan fan.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not liking their chances. And she's like, you're not watching the games. I'm watching the games. I don't like their.
Who are they playing?
Right.
You chose to play nobody in your non-conference. Nobody.
Right.
So you're here 9 weeks into the season. I don't know how good Michigan is. Penn State is not that good.
Right.
Penn State can play defense, yeah, and when they're at home, they can win some games, but their offense is atrocious. They can't score.
Yeah.
They can't score. I mean, Iowa can't score. Nobody in the Big Ten can score, but Ohio State and Michigan. So until those two teams, and you're not playing good teams week in and week out. So I know you're destroying teams, and I'm not going to go too far down the rabbit hole with the cheating and all that stuff. It's not a good look. It's not a good look at all.
No.
Try to play by the rules. That's not. But Michigan, if they beat Ohio State and they go into, they're going to get into the playoff. It's that simple. They deserve that, and then we'll see what happens. They haven't typically fared too well, so we'll see. All right, let's jump into some Bolts talk here with our good friend Eric Erlendsson, lightninginsider.com. The new website is up. It looks fantastic. It works great. What's up, Eric? How are you, my friend?
I'm good, gentlemen. What's going on?
Well, Lightning aren't playing that well. I'm not pushing the panic button. And watching the game last night, I'm like, yeah, they again, they should have scored 2 or 3 goals in the first 7-8 minutes of this game. I mean, Stamkos had a great opportunity. Kucherov had some great opportunity. Braden Point had a great opportunity. These guys, you expect to bury those chances. It's a whole different game. They had a lot of high danger chances, but couldn't bury it. And then on the other end, they're just, the turnovers are just, as Coop said, egregious.
Yeah, it's amazing the amount of turnovers that this team continues to put out there, and they're just bad turnovers, bad areas of the ice, and I'm shocked to sit here and say they've allowed the 3rd most goals in the league. That is just something we're not used to talking about with this team. What are we, 16 games into the season now, and they're just, and it's not the goaltending. Like if you just sat here and said, okay, they're 6-6-4. They've given up a lot of goals this season. Well, of course, Andrei Vasilevsky's out. That's not been the case at all. I don't think Patrick Waugh could be in net for this team right now, and I don't know how much of a difference he would make in just terms of the type of chances that they're giving up. When you turn the puck over from the red line to the blue line, or the offensive blue line, you really hang your goalie out to dry because everybody's going one direction. All of a sudden, they're going to try and stop and go back the other, and that's how they're giving up the odd man rushes. And a game like last night is certainly a perfect example of kind of how things are going for this team this year, because they did do a lot of good things in this game.
Yeah.
And they didn't convert, and it's almost like they got impatient, and it gets to mental lapses. I mean, the second goal, the Kyrou breakaway, is a bad line change. They get caught in a bad line change in the first period. It wasn't even the long change. And I'm sorry, that was late in the second period. That was the long change, but it's just these mental mistakes, these mental hurdles that they're just not able to get over, and they're shooting themselves in the foot night after night.
Yeah, I mean, is that your biggest surprise with all the mental mistakes? I mean, because this team is pretty veteran-laden, right, Eric? I mean, at the end of the day, you've got guys that have been there before. So is that your biggest disappointment or biggest surprise with this team? And do you think they can turn it around eventually? Because we just heard from Victor Hedman saying some guys in that locker room are frustrated. Maybe they haven't been there before. What do you say?
Well, they haven't been here before. Actually, the six wins through 16 games is the fewest since John Cooper took over to this point in the year. The points are the tied for the lowest. That was in the 15-16 season. Of course, they did go on to reach the Eastern Conference Final that year. But yeah, this is a veteran core. The veteran core is certainly there, but they're not the only ones. They're probably the ones committing the most turnovers, but they're not the only ones. I mean, you're seeing. Yeah. Calvin DeHaan, think about the turnover that Calvin DeHaan had against Chicago last week that led to the 2-0. It's just, you just got to stop trying to stick handle through 2 or 3 guys, make the simple plays. They're easily correctable things. And I think that's probably what has to be a little concerning, is that because they are easily correctable and they're not being corrected on a consistent basis yet, I think that's what has to have you concerned. I still like this team. I like the way they're built. I have some questions about their defensive depth. I think we're seeing that a little bit. Nick Perbix has taken a step back this year. That has not helped them much at all. Mikhail Sergachev continues to make some mistakes that he shouldn't be making for the role that he plays on this team. So I have questions on the back end. but I like this forward group. I like the line combinations. I like the versatility of the lines. Scoring goals is not going to be a problem, even though they have been shut out in back-to-back games. It's keeping the puck out of the other end. And Andre Vasilevsky can help that, but he's not going to solve all those problems.
Eric Erlendsson joining us here. Here's a question from K-Dub. Said, going back to when Hedman was talking earlier, JP, I heard what you said. Do you think Hedman is trying to score more instead of playing defense? I said this about Hedman. You know, this team was at its best. He was taking over games. He was taking over games. I don't see him playing at that level. I'm not saying he's playing poorly, but, I mean, there were times, especially in the cup runs, where you're just like, damn, he's the best player on the ice. And I haven't seen that for a long time. Is that fair?
I think it's fair. Certainly last year, that was not the Victor Hedman we're used to seeing for a good portion of the season. And I'll say it again, you can't convince me something wasn't bothering him injury-wise, because
I agree.
He just looked totally different. You remember he took that hit early in the year in San Jose and missed a couple of games. And he'll never admit it. Hockey players are just that way. He said no, he didn't have anything wrong with him. But I find that hard to believe. I think we've seen a little bit more of the Victor Hedman this year. And I think what he's kind of getting caught up into, he's not trying to score goals. He's not sacrificing defense for offense. I don't think that's the case here. You're still seeing him trying to make a difference. Mm-hmm. And he's just such a unique player in the way he plays that he's going to take risks maybe a little bit more often than other players, because a lot of times he can cover up his own mistakes.
Right.
And right now that's just kind of not happening on a consistent basis, but he's not the only one. The whole team is kind of in this sort of mini slump, if you will, in terms of the way they're playing. So I believe in Victor Hedman. Victor Hedman is a huge leader on this team, and he's a difference maker each and every night. It's just sometimes you just have to be a little bit careful when you take the risks, but he's such a unique player. He's going to try and make those plays more often than other guys.
Eric Erlendsson joining us here at lightninginsider.com. Vasilevsky's due back in a couple of weeks. And I totally agree with you. And I said verbatim, Patrick Waugh is not helping this team right now. That said, he's your best player and he's the best goalie in the game. And is there something about his presence that will make these guys stop committing stupid turnovers, that will just lift everybody's level of the game? I've seen teams in other sports where they're missing their star, and it's like they're trying. It's just how should I say this? There's a presence about them that just gives everybody a lift. Like, okay, now we're whole again. We're going to start playing the way we play. We're not going to second guess ourselves. We're not, like Cooper said last night, it feels like they're pressing at times. You just get your mojo back. Is that fair?
He can do that. He's that type of a player. I mean, he's arguably the best goalie in the world right now in the game. And, a 5-time Vezina finalist. And, you do worry about coming back from back surgery and how that is going to affect. It wasn't major back surgery. It was, but still, anytime you start talking about back surgery, you do wonder, what the long-term effects are going to be, and even the short-term. But he can give the team a boost. There's no doubt. When you get that type of a player back in your lineup, especially at the position he plays, that's a huge emotional boost. What you have to be careful with, though, and you see this a lot, when a player of that caliber comes back, sometimes the rest of the team goes, he's back, right? It's just a big exhale, and you have to avoid that. That's the danger when a player of that caliber comes back. Okay, Vasilevsky's back. Our savior is here, and that can't be the case. And I've talked to Anthony Cirelli. I talked to Rob Settler about it the other day, that they understand that possibility is there. But even both those guys said it doesn't matter who's in net. If we're not playing a cleaner game, the goaltending is not going to make a difference, because we've left them out hanging out to dry too often. But even just seeing him back on the ice and seeing his smile, he's got a great personality. He doesn't let too many people see it because of the language factor and everything else that's still there with him. But he has a great personality. He's a super funny guy, and it's just great to have him back on the ice. So even his presence back on the ice and practice for the next couple of weeks is going to be a big boost for this team emotionally. And Thanksgiving is the 8-week mark, and he said it. We'll get to that 8-week benchmark and see where it goes. So a little bit sooner than I would have expected. I would have thought middle of December, maybe, just because the injury he's coming back from. But he is superhuman, so who knows?
Eric, do you think, I don't know it's real early for this, but do you think with the trade of Bogosian, not that it clears up a lot of cap space, but I think 900,000. Is there any room for movement at the deadline? Do you think that there's something that the Bolts will try to make a move? Is it too early to even think about that? Where are you with that?
There's just not a whole lot of cap space to work with. I mean, because you trade Bogosian, but you bring up Myers, right? So it's actually Myers makes a little bit more than Bogosian did. So, you have some flexibility right now because of Vasilevsky on LTI, but when he comes back, you're a cap team. I mean, we saw the gymnastics that they performed right before the start of the season, signing Austin Watson to get within, what was it, $2 of the cap. I mean, that's just ridiculous in how they, massage that cap. So there's not a ton of space to work with. So as we've seen maybe in years past, it has to be dollar in, dollar out if you're going to go down that route. One thing we've learned about Julian Brisebois, though, he doesn't make emotional panic moves, right? He's very methodical in the way that he approaches things and thinks things. So, yeah, they're going through a tough stretch right now. We'll see what happens tomorrow against Chicago. But I think it's too early to start kind of thinking too much about those type of changes down the road, because there's still a belief in this team and a belief in this core that they can get it turned around, and they've earned that opportunity.
Eric, what do you think is attributed to the Lightning's problems with playing in overtime, and what do you think about the league looking at the overtime rules and trying to change them? What can they do to make that better for everybody else?
Well, the overtime rules they're struggles in overtime. It's really hard to explain. I mean, it's easy to explain in the fact that they haven't won a faceoff yet in any of the 4 games this year. And the puck possession, they barely touched the puck. They have 0 shots on goal in the 4 overtime games they've played. I think they've had maybe 2 shot attempts because they just haven't got the puck. I mean, the game against Seattle, they lost the draw. Seattle gets a power play. They score a minute and a half in game. Right. The first game against Buffalo, they didn't touch the puck for like 2 minutes before Buffalo scored. And that kind of leads into the second part of your question there, Pete, about changing the rules, because if anybody remembers that first overtime, that 3-on-3 overtime game between Tampa Bay and Philadelphia, it was just helter-skelter. I mean, it was up and down the ice. You had breakaway left and right, and Jason Garrison, forever a trivia question answer, the first guy who scored a 3-on-3 overtime goal. Coaches didn't like that. And as we know, coaches tend to ruin the game sometimes.
They ruin everything.
And puck possession is such a huge thing in the game now. And when you get to overtime and 3-on-3, that, you'll see guys, they'll skate in the zone. I don't like what I see. I'm going to come back. We're going to regroup. We're going to try. And it's almost become boring. Yeah. It becomes boring until the first team takes a shot. And then then you can kind of maybe get into a back and forth, but we just haven't seen enough of that. So I think that's why they're kind of thinking about and looking at ways to maybe change that. The shot clock, or the tag up rule where you can't go back, or something like that. It's going to be interesting to see how they do it, because it has overtime. What used to be a very exciting part of the game, if it got to that point, is now kind of boring. And you're getting winners, which is ultimately what they wanted to get with 3-on-3, but they're not getting it the way it was a few years ago when it was just back and forth and racing and so much fun to watch. It's not there. Yeah. It's just
now. I think if you have to you can't take it back past the blue line. Once you get in, you can't purposefully take it. But can they enforce that? I think they can, right?
Oh yeah, for sure, easily. Yeah. It's like the over and back rule in basketball, right? Yeah. Once you cross that and maybe they implement the blue line, maybe they implement the red line, whatever it is, because there's so much open ice, you could easily tag back up and go in. But I mean, how many times you see guys go all the way back to their goaltender with?
Yeah, I don't want to see that. It's like no offense, but that's like soccer. I don't want to see you kicking it back to the goalie 50 times. Can't have that. Like you were right next to the goal and you just kicked it all the way back to your goalie. Really, you just did that?
Well, that's where it kind of comes from too, right? It's
right.
It's a little bit of the European mentality.
Yeah, we don't need that. We don't need to import any of that stuff. All right, so moving forward, they got the Blackhawks tomorrow night. Connor Bedard has been, evidently we lit his fire here last week, and he's been incredible. But I kind of get a sense that, this would be a nice place for the Lightning to get a little payback, because they felt like they probably deserved that game in the way they started it. They didn't push back much, but I think this might be a good spot for them. What do you think?
I think so. Kind of bookend where this little rough patch started, and maybe kind of bookend it the other way. Because, I mean, you look at the schedule coming back home, and you get Edmonton. They just changed their coach on Saturday afternoon game, and then you got Boston, and Winnipeg, a couple of pretty good teams coming in, and then you got Carolina on Black Friday. I mean, the schedule coming up doesn't let up as it tends not to in the NHL. So it's a good chance here, I think, because Chicago's got some good individual players. Obviously, Connor Bernard is going to be a superstar in this league, and if you give even a 18-year-old like that, his shot is just, it was NHL ready probably at the age of 16. That's how good his shot is. And he's kind of showing that off here in the early stages. But as a whole, they're not a strong team. You know, they don't have a lot of depth in the back end. And Peter Mrazek is their number one goaltender. And we've certainly seen enough of Peter Mrazek through the years to know that he's more of a 1B, number 2 kind of guy to kind of lead the way. So they have flaws in their game, and it's going to be on the Lightning to exploit those and take advantage of them and not kill themselves. That's, again, we go back to what has hurt this team during this stretch. It's the self-inflicted wounds that's really kind of held them back a little bit in trying to find some more points. Even some of those games on that last road trip where they were, letting points get away, they were self-inflicted.
Right.
And that's what it all comes back to with this team. So I think it's a good opportunity tomorrow. And I think we're going to learn maybe a little bit about what kind of a makeup this team has from a mental standpoint and how they come out and play. You can never guarantee whether you're going to win or lose a game, but you can control how you play. And I think that's what we have to look for with this team, because John Cooper has used the phrase a million times, and we've said it, process over outcome. The process was okay in St. Louis. The outcome, they didn't get the outcome. Keep that process. Don't turn the puck over. You have a chance to win the game.
I would agree with that. Hey, before you go, John Hill chimes in and says, ever since Hedman cut his long hair, his play has not been the same. Is it the Samson effect? Is that what's going on here?
It's the Thor effect.
The Thor effect. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You look at when Thor cut his hair in the MCU, and, that's when he started losing fights to Thanos, right? Maybe there's some sort of some sort of correlation there.
And then he got fat.
That's right.
That last Thor movie was
horrible. Terrible. Everything
is horrible.
The MCU right now. By the way, the Marvels came out. I know you guys like that. Lowest box office for an
terrible
MCU movie.
How do you ruin that stuff? Oh, it's awful.
They have to bring back Iron Man, and they have to bring back all the older guys.
Isn't Iron Man dead? Didn't we kill off Iron Man?
Got the verse. You can bring him back somehow. I mean,
there's lots of ways.
Yeah. Hollywood, something fails.
You mean when they die, they're not really dead?
It's
really?
just a different version of yourself. That's all it is.
There you go. You redo it all over again.
Blame Peter Parker for that. He opened up the multiverse.
Exactly.
Okay, fair enough. All right, Eric, tell everybody how they can get your content in the new lightninginsider.com website.
Yeah, the website rebuilt. I think it looks great. It kind of pops off the page there a little bit. Obviously, there's two plans. There's a yearly plan, $40 a year, $4.99 a month. It's really not a lot of money, but obviously the support means a lot to me. So go check out the website, lightninginsider.com. The podcast out there as well under the same name, and of course on the radio broadcast, doing some intermission hits with Greg, some pregame hits as well, and then the walk-off intermission hits on home ice for home games. So lots of ways to hear and read me.
I love the questions you asked too. Very, very insightful questions. Asking players what's going through their heads. That's what's important. Not how they feel, but what they think, what they did, how they did it. I love that. Good stuff.
Yeah, that should always be the goal of those walk-offs, right? Not just be arbitrary sort of can of corn type of questions. Let's kind of get in their head a little bit. That's what you want.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. The great Eric Erlendsson, thank you very much. All right, we'll take a quick break here. We'll come back. We're going to do a little bit more college football. I'm going to get into the golf league thing. Some NFL notes as well. Deshaun Watson is done for the year.
Worst contract of all time.
Oh, without question. Without question. Worst move brought to you by your Cleveland Browns. Of course. Shocking development. All right. Quick. Yes, exactly. We're brought to you by the Geddes Gordon Group, South Tampa's best realtors. There's nobody like Jane. Played golf with her the other day. U.S. Open champion. She is the best. And not only at golf, but also at real estate. So if you are looking for properties, investment properties, you want to find out what's out there, Still a lot of great investment opportunities. It's the Geddes Gordon Group. Go to GettysGordonGroup.com. All right, back at 3. Stay with us.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
Hey, the holidays are almost here, so take advantage of our layaway offer at the Gold and Diamond Source. Reserve your favorite piece now and pay in easy installments, making your holiday shopping stress-free. And engagement season is here as well, and we've got the largest selection of engagement rings, so visit us to find that perfect ring for that special moment. Looking for financing options? How big a ring can you get when we give you 3 to 5 years interest-free financing to make your dream jewelry more affordable? So this November, make sure you choose the Gold and Diamond Source for jewelry that's always stylish and unique, because your special someone deserves something to be thankful for, right? Find the perfect gift at the Gold and Diamond Source. Don't settle for factory-made imitations, folks. Make sure it's a Gold and Diamond Source diamond for a truly special piece of jewelry. It's the best folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub at the Gold and Diamond Source, 4800 Ulmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. It will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on this hump day. Great to have Scott Reynolds and Eric Erlendsson chiming in, and you guys as well. We got great comments coming in here. Peter Blake joining me here this morning.
Yes, absolutely. Alexander joining us
and
too.
Alexander as well.
As he just continues to sit around here and look at me like, what the heck are you doing over here? Where's Tally at?
Tally, she's right here to my left. Has not made an appearance yet. Yesterday, I was, doing a little McFly, and made the mistake of like knocking on the wood, which of course set the dogs off. Like somebody's at the door.
Yeah. I just played that sound effect and my dog just came over and was like,
Of course. Let's get to some of the comments here today. We have some new fans jumping in. Let's get to Micah Samuels. That's a new name. What's up, Micah? Christopher Cole says Josh Allen is Jameis Winston. I don't know about all that.
Well, they fired Ken Dorsey yesterday, so who's next? I mean, you fire your defensive coordinator, you fire your offensive coordinator because they got rid of Leslie Frazier, they get rid of Ken Dorsey. So who's the next to be fired? Sean McDermott? And I would think, what it comes down to is expectations, and he hasn't necessarily fulfilled those expectations. And then on top of it, to go back to Christopher's point, Josh Allen, what is he leading the league right now with interceptions? I mean, we know that's not going to get it done. That's not going to get it done. And I get it.
He's also second in the league in QBR.
Well, That's
and they're also second in the league in points, and you're firing your offensive coordinator. Maybe you should be firing your special teams coach.
maybe
It's so interesting because, if you don't have 12 men on the field, I mean, if you didn't see how Buffalo lost the game last week on Monday night, first of all, they go zero blitz, and the corner or the safety gets in a bad safety got in a bad matchup, underthrown ball, and you get interference. It sets up basically the game-winning kick. And on the game-winning kick, you have 12 men on the field. They miss the field goal, and then they make it. I mean, that's a brutal way to lose a football game. And as I said earlier, the narrative, win or lose, the narrative is so drastically different, right? If they win that game, is Ken Dorsey fired? No. But I heard Dan Orlovsky talking yesterday about, you look at the Bills games, if you break down their tape, they go 2-by-2 formations. There's 2 plays that they run. That's it. So they're extremely predictable in a lot of different ways. So I get that, but we'll see if it makes this team better. Switching midstream usually doesn't. But the Bills, I mean, that's a game the Bucs probably could have won as well.
Well, you remember a couple of years ago, what was it in 2018? You fire your defensive coordinator at the time, and you hire somebody else, and then maybe one game it works, and then after that it doesn't work at all, because at the end of the day, it's not just about coaching, it's about the talent. Do the Bills have enough talent overall? Do they have enough talent on this team?
I think they do. They're extremely talented team. I mean, but Stephon Diggs is bitching,
right?
About how many touches he gets before the season, and he and Josh Allen, are they buddies? Whatever. There just seems to be a lot of drama on that team, and they're underperforming, no question. Richie P says, in the Texans games, would it be fair to say that a lot of the yards put on Carlton Davis was due to his foot injury, which kept him out this week? Thus, the L was not all on Bowles. I don't think that's fair, because if guys aren't getting it done, get them out. You won a game this week without Carlton Davis. I hear this, Devin White was so injured he couldn't run over, Jalen Hurts when he threw him the interception. Then get him out. If you can't do the basics in football, then get him out of the game. I mean, one of the problems with Todd Bowles is he doesn't trust his players. He doesn't trust his backup players. Put Marquise Watson, look what happens. You put Yaya Diaby in, look what happens. You put in Aaron Stinney, look what happens. He doesn't – if guys are injured, get them the hell out of there. And by the way, it wasn't so much the foot injury as the way he was playing. And he's not – and, people say he's not a good zone corner. Look, that's not hard. It's so much easier to play zone. And you should – if you're getting paid $17 million, you should be able to play zone. You should be able to play zone. You should be able to play man, play whatever. A lot of those 3 touchdowns, for me, it's like your footwork is lazy. Your effort is lazy. It wasn't a good look. And if you don't like the way the coach is calling the game, you still should give your 100% effort. So I'm not giving him a pass, and I'm not giving Bowles a pass. Those are 2 games you got to win. With this roster, you've got to be able to beat Atlanta, and you've got to be at home, and you've got to be able to beat Houston when you have the lead with 40 seconds left. You just got to, and you got to be able to beat a team that the week before got beat by the freaking Panthers. Got beat by the Panthers, and you go in there and you let him throw for a rookie record 450 yards and play soft zone the whole time, and you want to sit there and tell me that's not on Todd Bowles? Richie P, I love you. Brother, I love you, but I'm not giving him a pass on that one. No,
yeah,
sir.
470 rookie record, and against a rookie quarterback who what you did this week versus Will Levis, whether it was the offensive line or not, that's how you're supposed to treat a rookie quarterback. And you look back at it, if you get the win against the Atlanta Falcons and you get the win versus the Houston Texans, how different is this season? How different is it? And those are both winnable games. And you're not able to figure it out. So,
and like Scott said, you only get one a week. Don't screw it up. And it's one. You lose, you get beat like you will this week against a better team. Nobody's bitching at you. But when you're losing games because you're mismanaging the clock, you're mismanaging the situation, you're playing scared, you're not playing to your strengths, you're trying to hide your weaknesses, then you're not a good coach. You're not a good coach. And again, tough to be a good head coach in the NFL. Not many people can do it. It's not a horrible thing to say that you're not a great head coach, but you're a damn good coordinator. So it's not the worst thing to say. But I think for the most part. And I'm just because you get a win over a bad Titans team that's really, really beat up, I'm not going to sit here and say, okay, suddenly Todd Bowles is the best coach because his players told him how he should be playing.
Right.
Yeah.
I will give him some credit, though. I mean, they shut down Derrick Henry. You shut down DeAndre Hopkins. Coming into that game, you're not sure what to expect because you're without Carlton Davis. Even though he played an awful game, we would say when he wants to play, he is a top 10 corner. So you're without him. Jamel Dean, I think, did a good job. So I give them credit because it was a tough matchup coming in. So
they shut down Derrick Henry, which was great. But, they lose their left tackle right off the bat. You got to move, the left guard or the right guard to left tackle. Again, let's keep it all in perspective. I want to give them credit for beating the Tennessee team, but not a great Tennessee team right now. Right. And even worse when you're losing offensive linemen in the middle of the game. Christopher Cole says Fournette went to the Bills too. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
We love playoff Lenny and Super Bowl Lenny, but that dude is many, many donuts ago. Thomas Casper said there's absolutely no reason Bruce Arians cannot return as head coach. I love this, Thomas. But that's not happening.
It's not.
I mean, Tom Brady is gone, so.
Right. I mean, could it happen? I mean, you look at when it happens, like I always go back to coaches coming back. Remember Joe Gibbs going back to Washington? How did that work?
That worked out great.
No, it didn't work out too well at all.
Didn't he come back and win a Super Bowl?
Who, Joe Gibbs for Washington?
Yeah, I thought he did.
Not his second time around, I don't think.
Well, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, second time around, he did not. He did not came back. He did not. Yeah. I think that was Joe Gibbs, right? Joe Gibbs going back
I
to
think
Washington?
Joe Gibbs came back and won one. And then he went and dominated NASCAR. I'm a big Joe Gibbs fan. Read his book, and he's a hell of a leader, hell of a coach, hell of a great Christian man. Big fan of Joe Gibbs. But I'll have to check my history on that. I think it may have been like the third time he came back. It didn't work out so well, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. The point doesn't work. It doesn't always work,
No, it doesn't always work. Like it usually doesn't work. But what do I sit here and know who the next coach of the Bucs should be if it's not Todd Bowles? No, I don't. I'm not ready to dig into that. Who's available, who's not available. I know certain guys it's not or shouldn't be. It shouldn't be Belichick. It shouldn't be John Gruden. It shouldn't be Bruce Arians, with all due respect. I love Bruce to death, but I think it's probably past his time as well.
Right.
So I don't know who. Maybe Ben Johnson's the hot name, but I don't know that much about that dude. I'd have to do a little bit more research.
Right. Jim Harbaugh with JJ McCarthy.
No,
you're not buying that.
No.
That's been thrown out.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I just think this guy has just gone off the deep end. This is not the same guy that coached the 49ers. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't know what happened to the dude, but he just seems a little wacky to me. A little wacky. I don't think it would play in the NFL. Could be wrong.
I think he's always been wacky. I just think now it's been more revealed over the years now. That's what it is. He was able to hide it back then. Now everything is revealed.
Could be right. Yeah, you could be right.
Wow.
So the TGL is launching in January. This is tomorrow's golf league. It's going to be an indoor golf league where you got a bunch of simulators. They built this I guess exhibition center. I'm looking at the artist rendering right here. It's got a bunch of skyboxes. There's going to be 2,000 fans, and there's a big couple simulators where they're going to be hitting like their driver and their wedge shots and their irons, and then they have a real green with bunkers and everything that I guess they're going to try to get the ball up and down in certain situations. So I'm not exactly sure how it's going to play out. So it's like a big indoor facility that you can it's indoor golf but also real elements of golf as well. Which I think is interesting. So two teams will play a 15-hole match with 1 point earned per hole. The matches will be broken up into 2 sessions. The first is 9 holes of a 3-man alternate shot format. The 3 players from each team alternate who tees off on a hole. Then the 3 rotate, and they calling it triples. The second section is 6 holes of singles, where each hole is 1-on-1 for an entire hole, with the 3 golfers rotating each hole. So I guess you could play everybody twice. So the team that has the most points through 15 holes wins. And if there's a tie, they go to overtime. Overtime will operate almost like a soccer penalty shootout with teams hitting shots until one team hits 2 shots closer to the pin than the competitors. So interesting. And I mean, and it's the biggest of names in this league and owners as well. I'm trying to get to some of the so the league said nearly 250,000 square foot arena will fit almost 2,000 fans. It's going to be called the SoFi Center on the campus of Palm Beach State College in Palm Beach Gardens. Okay. So it has contains a giant simulator screen powered by Full Swing technology and real life greens and bunkers with the entire playing surface measuring roughly the size of a football field. So the TGL teams are the Atlanta Drive, owned by Arthur Blank, the Falcons owner, the Boston Common Golf, led by the Fenway Sports Group, Los Angeles Golf Club, owned by Alexis Ohanian, Serena and Venus Williams. New York is led by Mets owner Steve Cohen. San Francisco is led by Mark Lasry and Stephen Curry. And the Jupiter Links Golf Club is led by Tiger Woods and David Blitzer. So big names. And then they have 23 players right now because John Rahm pulled out. The others committed are Tiger, McIlroy, Justin Thomas, Morikawa, Keegan Bradley, Scott Hatton, Ricky Fowler, Matt Fitzpatrick, Justin Rose, Xander Schauffele, Max Homa, Billy Horschel, Tommy Fleetwood, Shane Lowry, Tom Kim, Sahith Theegala, Cameron Young, Patrick Cantlay, Wyndham Clark, Minwoo Lee, Kevin Kisner, and Lucas Glover. So they're going to add one more. So, I mean, it's a who's who of golf. And I'm interested. I'm here for it. It's going to be played in prime time, 9:00 on ESPN and ESPN Plus.
Wow! And
they start on January 9th. The second match is scheduled for January 16th.
I'm surprised it's not going to be on the Ocho. By the way, you ever watch that? I mean, it sounds very interesting. And
it's not Ocho stuff. This is not like log rolling. This is like
pillow fighting. You mean it's not that? It's not.
No, these are the biggest names in golf.
Well, I'm not saying it's not. I'm just it's very different. That's all.
It's very different. There's no doubt it's different, but I'm interested. I'm interested to see what it looks like. I would love to go to one of it. I mean, that sounds like a pretty cool venue. 2,000 people. Yeah, I'm still in Palm Beach Garden. Maybe we'll get press passes.
I'll go.
We'll see.
All the equipment. That'd be great. Yeah. That'd be absolutely fantastic.
So, do we have to take another break? Are we one short here?
And if you want, yeah, we've got plenty of breaks we could take, or we can go to Levante David really quick if you want.
Oh yeah, let's hear that.
All right, let me go out to Levante David on the Jim Rome show yesterday. Where the heck is it? Oh, there it is. All right. Here we go on the JP Peterson show.
You mentioned the opponent. Of course, you got the 49ers coming up. A win over the 49ers would help a lot, right? As you start your film study based on what they did Sunday against the Jags, do they look to you like the team they were back when they were 5-0 and they were pretty healthy?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they're probably going to be the most complete team that we played all season. You know, they do what they do, and they do it really well. You know, they got a lot of movement going on offense. They have all the athletes out there. You know, they got their 2 big key guys back in Trent and Deebo Samuel. So, you know, obviously you got, you know, Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk. So they still got Juice Check. So they back to a complete team, man. And, you know, we're definitely going to have our hands full coming up this week. And we know what they're capable of. But like I said, man, we know we're capable of as well. So as long as we focus on what we need to focus on and everybody just do our jobs, everything will be fine.
Levante David joining me for a few more moments. You know, you laid it out, but how challenging is it to get ready for an opponent like that when they can have success through the air because they're dangerous passing the ball, but they also have arguably the most versatile back in football in Christian McCaffrey?
Yeah, man. I think it just all comes down to discipline. When you play on a team like this, you know, who's trying to beat you, you know, outsmart you, you know, it comes down to just fundamentals and playing the game, using your technique. You know, don't try to do too much. Just play your game, and let the game come to you. That's how they get people, man. You know, just get people going different directions. People kind of like lose sight of what they're supposed to do, and that's when they gas you. So we definitely got to be, you know, on point in everything we do. You got to be able to tackle well. You got to be able to try to create takeaways and try to create pressure on the quarterback.
All right, there you go.
how the hell did they lose 3 games? That's what I want to know. Like, how the hell did the 49ers lose 3 games? I know they got banged up and Debo was out for a little while, but they're healthy now.
They're gonna be tough.
I mean, I'd like to be optimistic, but this looks like a royal ass kicking like last year.
It could be. I hope it's not. I hope that the Bucs come out with the effort. But you talk about it again. They're fully healthy. They're a talented team, led by Brock Purdy. You got Christian McCaffrey, of course. Kittle's healthy. Brandon Ayuk, Debo Sam. I mean, it's yeah. And then on the defensive side, that to me is the big time matchup you have to watch, right? Chase Young and Nick Bosa.
Yeah.
Nick Bosa, Chase Young. Good luck. I think Tristan Wirfs will be okay. That'll be a matchup with Nick Bosa or Chase Young. But the right side there, Luke Gedeke, and then the interior line with what Scott mentioned earlier on with Hargrove and.
Good luck, Robert Hainsey. Good luck with that. Yeah. Aaron Stinney, Cody Malk. Yikes.
Yeah.
They got Fred Warner, best linebacker in football. I mean, they're freaking loaded.
If you get past that, then maybe you can expose that secondary because they're nothing to write home about. But
yeah,
you would think. I mean, Mike Evans, couple drops again, then has a big touchdown, wills his way into the end zone, a lot like Mike Allstott in his heyday there, running over players. Your thoughts on Mike Evans? Do you think this contract situation is a distraction and has been a distraction throughout the season, or are we too much focused on the drops? Because it seems like he's always had those drops.
He had 6 drops, I think, in his second year, and now he has 7 this year. And that's always a subjective kind of stat anyway. I would say he has a lot more than 7 drops this year.
No.
I don't see how you can't say that, right? I mean, he's been so good for so long, and he's just had so many key drops. He even admitted that the touchdown, he was thinking about who he was going to hand the ball to. And it's just that kind of lack of focus, as he admitted himself, is just, you can't have that.
Right.
And, why do you have a lack of focus? Well, because you're pissed off that you didn't get a contract after all you've given this team. And I get it. It's, when you're sitting in his shoes, that's what you see. But if you're in Jason Light's shoes, you can't look at that. You can't pay for past performance. You have to pay for future productivity, especially when you're in a rebuilt, kind of a semi-rebuilding mode, and you're one of the older players. It just is what it is, and it sucks for Mike. It sucks for the team. It sucks for everybody. And when you're in this situation, it sucks for the fans. You would like to be able to pay him, based a little bit on what he's done and a little bit on what he could do. But that's not the way this business works. It's all about the future. What can you give us? What have you done for me lately? So I do think, I think it sucks for Mike, and he's probably a little pissed off about it. And I get that. But, what he can give you on the positive side is just so tremendous. It's so tremendous. He's still such an upside. He's still such a threat. He's still all of that. You got to just kind of live with the warts a little bit right now. And, you take what you get with Mike Evans. There's going to be a couple drops in it maybe, but no one's going to come back with more ferocity. And you could see that. He was so pissed off at himself. And I didn't like the next rep, by the way. After he dropped the ball, I think he was so down on himself. He ran a really shitty route, and Baker tried to get it back to him, and he just rolled off an out route that was just very lazy route because he was still pissed at himself. Mm-hmm. I think if he had that to do over again, he'd cut that sucker off a little bit stronger and catch the touchdown pass on the next play. He didn't do that. So he's probably even more mad at himself. But he came back and he made up for it. They win the game. They're going to need a superhuman effort from him and everybody else and Godwin to win this game. I just don't, I see this as I think it's a 10.5 point spread. I'd probably take the Niners and lay the points at this point.
Yeah, I don't see how you couldn't. Again, I have faith, and I try to be as optimistic as you can be, but talent doesn't lie, and this team just boat raced Jacksonville. I mean, again, I don't know how they lost 3 games.
They were a little beat up,
pounds. But yeah, you're right. They were banged up. They lost to a backup quarterback in the Cleveland Browns, who of course have a defense. So who knows if your defense can put on a show there, keep you in the game, and your offense can, finally score some points, because we've seen this defense before. We've seen this defense do their job Get after the quarterback. These changes, will they continue? Will Yaya Diaby show up? Will 58 show up?
Marquise Watts, yeah.
Marquise Watts. I mean, maybe they can get enough pressure on Brock Purdy. Maybe they can hurt him.
Well, if they can, they play the way they did last week in terms of an aggressive style, and they don't miss tackles in the back end, because that's the thing when you're committing to, to rushing the passer like that, six, 7 guys sometimes, you miss a tackle in the back end, and it's not hard to miss a tackle on Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey. I mean, these guys break tackles for a living, and they break a lot of them.
Yeah.
So you got to come with force. You got to come with great technique, and you make sure you get them to the ground. And that's just not going to happen every time. They're going to give up some explosives. It's a bad matchup. The Bucs do not play well against physical teams, and this is the most physical team in football, and they're going to punch you in the mouth.
Philadelphia or San Francisco, in your opinion? Because I would say Philadelphia has the best offensive line, right? In the league,
I would say the more complete team is San Francisco.
Okay.
At this point, I would say the more complete team is San Francisco, but they're both really good. I think that game will probably come down to who has home field advantage. By the way, we get on Monday Night Football, we get Chiefs and Eagles this week.
Wow. Okay, well, that made up for the last couple of weeks that were.
Sure. I guess. Taylor won't be at the game because he's in Argentina.
Oh, yeah, changed their lyrics too. By the way, that was.
How about that?
Yeah.
Wait till he gets a whole song after the breakup.
Yeah, we're still waiting for that.
Yeah.
How sick are we waiting for that? We've been talking about this the last couple of months, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's a love affair like no other." I get it, Alexander. You want to go out here in just a little bit? I'll take.
He's ready.
He's ready to go. Yeah.
All right, partner. Good stuff. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for the comments. Appreciate it. And thank you to Scott Reynolds and Eric Erlendsson who joined us. If you missed anything, go back and check it out on YouTube. You can also please like and subscribe to our Apple and Spotify. Any place you get your podcasts, you can listen to them there. FanStreamSports.com, our website. You can always get it there. And, of course, we have an app as well. Download the app, FanStream Sports. You can listen on the app anytime. Great job, Peter. I will see you down the road on Sunday. And thank you guys for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow, same time from 10 to noon. See you then.